everyone. Good morning. I'm James Gensterblum. I'm the Director of Athletic Communications here at Hillsdale College. I'm very excited to be joined today by women's volleyball coach, Chris Gravel, to talk a little bit about the upcoming season, kind of give you guys a little bit of a preview of what to expect for this year. Chris, thank you for being here.
Hey, great to be here.
I guess let's start with actually a little bit of a recap of last year for people who might not have been paying quite as much attention. Last year, another really successful season. You kept a lot of those streaks intact. Your long-running GMAC tournament title streak, your long-running NCAA qualification streak, 27 match wins. But it was a challenging year in terms of you guys were tested a lot. You spent much of the season in the GMAC, not in first place, kind of chasing. You actually were able to get into first place in the last week. So you were really battle tested in a way. What do you think the experience of kind of not being in the driver's seat, of being challenged, of being pushed, really did for your team that year?
Well, overall for this year, it was probably good for us. Obviously, not good to go through. Losing those matches in 5-2 early on really made it necessary for us to win in the end, to be that number one seed to host again. And it came right down to the wire the very last game, and we were able to pull that out. But going into this year, I think it's going to help us.
Obviously, 2 All-Americans last year. Allie Weiss finished her career in amazing fashion. First libero ever to win Conference Player of the Year in the GMAC, which is really special. And then Marilyn Popplewell kind of putting it together, kind of reaching close to her full potential, and getting that All-American nod. A lot of other kind of really impressive individual things too. What stood out to you from kind of some of those accolades?
Kind of what stood out to me was the way they responded to. The accolades are nice, but they're more focused on that last loss that we had last year, losing in 5 to Ferris in the regional tournament, and how hard they've worked over this spring and even over the summer. Pretty impressive. So, if you take Allie, who got the Player of the Year, who won't be back with us this year, there were some things to work on there for sure. But this spring, we had people step up big time, and anxious to see what's coming up next for sure.
Let's kind of get into it with the team coming back this year. Obviously you mentioned Marilyn, Maisie Brown, another person. These are players who have been integral parts of your team for 4, in Maisie's case, 5 years, played big roles, tons and tons of match experience. What does it do for a team to kind of have those players who've been through it all multiple times on the court? And what are you looking for from them kind of in their roles this year?
I'll tell you, it certainly doesn't hurt. But moving forward, they've had the same mindset. They use their past experiences, but it's about the day that they're in and becoming a better player, which becomes very difficult when you reach your full potential. But that quest to get there, that drive, that push to become even better is what's going to make all the difference, because it's not just for those players, it's for the players around them and what they're witnessing. Maisie, like you said, 5 years, still going to push her just as hard as ever, and she's still going to expect just as much and more, and she's still going to feel like she can do more, even when she's at her peak. Same with Marilyn, Lauren, all of our seniors. You got Sydney, Amanda. Our entire senior group is in that same mindset, and I think it's going to go a long way for us this year.
One of the things you are blessed with, and I think one of the challenges you have as a coach, that I'm sure any coach would love, the challenge they would love to have, is you have so much attacking talent. You have so many players who are capable on any given day of being a top hitter, and you only have so many spots to kind of rotate them through. So you look at this kind of young, hungry group of hitters coming up front. Can you talk about that group and the challenge you have to kind of sort through and figure out how to deploy all of these excellent players?
Yeah, we got a very talented freshman class coming in for sure. A lot of talented returners also. Even the returners this spring, I can't say how much we've improved and are looking forward to this next season. However, yes, it's going to be a challenge to figure out what's going to be our best option on game day, which is good, because even if I mess up a little bit, it's still going to be a really good option. But like I was talking to some of our defenders, well, even like talking to Amanda, Amanda had an exceptional spring, and have no doubt that she can play that libero position. And that's saying a lot because we just lost Allie Weiss. But we also have a really talented freshman libero coming in. Okay, and we have other people that play defense on the team right now. If Amanda's not that libero, that means someone else did so well that she goes back into the DS role. That could only help us. I mean, to have tough decisions like that to make this year will be tough, but will help in the long run.
Yeah, and I guess we can go to that kind of libero position, that back row for you guys a little bit here too, since you've mentioned it. Obviously, Allie Weiss kind of rewrote the record book. You had players of that level. You know how difficult it is to replace someone. It's hard to expect someone to get the same production, but you do have talented players back there. So what are you looking for from the group coming up to kind of try and fill that void a little bit?
Well, I mean, just again with the same mindset of getting better. I mean, we got Chloe, who has played really well back there. She also plays some right back, and losing Riley back there. I mean, that's definitely a hole that we need to fill too. Josie can play back row. Marilyn's becoming a very great 6th rotation player. These are all things that are going to help fill that void. But you know what? The expectations are the same. I don't care who they're following. I don't care what they did the day before. I know what I expect that day, and it's always going to be better than the last day. So just moving forward.
I'm looking at setter, which is obviously always kind of an underrated and extremely crucial position to any team. It's the one that really kind of directs the offense. And you've just had, the last couple of years, you've had such a unique weapon in Lauren, kind of because of her left-handedness and her hitting ability, her ability to just take a second ball and not just tip it over, but actually put down a hard, unexpected attack where the blocker might not even be there. Can you talk about kind of what an asset she's been with her versatility, and also how can she be her best this year as a third-year player and as a senior? Absolutely.
And Lauren, as far as setter numbers, hasn't always been there because we do use her as an attacker. And it's not your traditional 6'2" either. So a player like that does tend to get overlooked because the numbers don't show what she can do. But that also, she's able to do those things that help us win because of the other setters that we have. Josie, I mean, I can't tell you how great of a spring she had. We got our Greek player, coming in, makes great decisions. We have a lot of different options, a lot of different ways we can attack a team this year, and really they don't know how we're going to do it. And I know that because I don't know how I'm going to do it. Sometimes Lauren will be hitting, sometimes she'll be setting, and it's not necessarily in the traditional ways.
I want to kind of look at larger your schedule a little bit here. You're going down to Tampa, which always a huge challenge. Tampa was one of the legendary programs kind of in Division II, a lot of national titles. So you're going to get a very good sense of kind of where you hang with the elite very early on. Then you come back for your home tournament, which is always an exciting time to be hosting that home tournament, and a lot of good competition there too. Florida Southern is a team that made a good run in the NCAA tournament last year in a tough region. Clarion is a power in their region. Them and Gannon kind of are the two teams to beat, it seems like, every year over there. Mm-hmm. So you have some of these really good early season tests. Can you talk a little bit about kind of what you think you're going to be able to learn in those first 2 weeks?
Well, we're going to probably learn, I talked about our versatility, but how easily we can move from one look to another, because that's kind of what we do. And those are going to be some pretty pressure situations. And for us to be able to change defenses, offenses, personnel for different matchups, we're going to see that'll set the tone for the regular season for our conference play.
Yeah, and looking at the conference, it's been kind of amazing, I think, in the last few years to see how much the conference has improved overall in terms of the challenges you guys now face in that league and what you've been able to how you've been able to overcome them and kind of stay on top. But it's going to continue to be a difficult test for you guys, I think. What do you see as kind of the biggest challenge for you in conference play?
Biggest challenge, there's a lot of them. I mean every day. Of course, we have Finley. That's always a battle. We had we lost to them. Did we lose to them twice last year? Yeah. But not in the playoffs. So we got them in the playoffs, which was great. But yeah, that's a team that's beaten us twice. Walsh beat us last year. In the conference finals, ODU took us to 5. So we have all kinds of competition, all kinds of great matches that's going to test us throughout the year, throughout the season.
In the region, you've had this kind of traditional power group these last few years, Missouri, St. Louis, Quincy, and Lewis from the GLVC, Ferris and Grand Valley from the GLIAC, and then you guys as teams that have kind of consistently been there the last 3 years. Do you see those kind of teams as continuing to be kind of the top teams in the region, or do you think there might be a changing of the guard at all this year?
I think there'll be a few changes, maybe a couple changes, not quite a few, but a lot of those teams I think I'll expect to see them again. I mean, last year, 1 through 8, I don't know if I've seen a regional tournament with more parity. I mean, we were the 7th seed, but we were the same. We could have won it all. The 8th seed could have won it all. I mean, any one of those teams. Now, the number 1 seed did win it all, and rightfully so. They might have been just a shade against everybody else, above everybody else, but anybody could have beat anybody on any given day in that group, and that's a great place to be.
Coach, thank you so much for being with us today. We really appreciate you making the time to help us look ahead to your season. Just a reminder for fans out there, the home invitational will be September 13th and 14th, 3 matches every day, a lot of great matches in there. The first home conference match will be Northwood at the end of September, leading into a really strong home calendar. Dawn Tibbetts Pot Arena is going to be rocking, so we're looking forward to seeing you there. Have a great day.
Hey, thanks, James.